He knows when to take a shot to go for a championship. He knows when to reset. He knows when to pull back. The team starts from the top, and if you have a good owner and a good management system, that's the way you stay competitive. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Clutch Takes, and for today's episode we're going to be doing 6 Raptors priorities for the offseason. Before we get into the video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe if you guys are new here. Get into the comments section, as we always like to get back to everyone. And without further ado, let's get into the video.
The first priority that we're going to be talking about is going to be Trent Jr. and his offseason, how he's a free agent. Obviously, he's going to be a very important player for the Raptors to deal with because he came into the Raptors roster playing really well, hitting game winners and scoring a lot of buckets. And surprisingly, he's been a very good defender as well. He might get a contract maybe similar to like OG's, or maybe a little bit less, since he hasn't proven as much.
Well, I think people actually knew that he was a capable defender. I just think it's being shown with the Raptors. And I think for this contract, you have to think of it like he's a younger player, obviously, like that. We don't want to lock him up to like a 4 or 5 year deal. I would think, honestly, around like the 15 to 20 mil range, maybe the 22-ish at maximum. But I think signing Trent Jr., I've talked about it in the past. I think Trent Jr. is a great player, and I think he's a player that could be a possible second scoring option, second or third on this team. So I think signing Trent Jr. is a huge priority this offseason, and I think Masai will be able to get it done. And we'll be talking about Masai coming up soon. The next priority for the Raptors is to have a healthy offseason. As we know, Fred VanVleet had an injury, Kyle Lowry had an injury, Chris Boucher had an injury. There was lingering injuries throughout the whole team. We obviously don't want anyone to get hurt, so the Raptors need to regroup. I know Chris Boucher is taking the FIBA World Cup off to repair his knee. So I think the Raptors, they need to take it more easy this summer and come back stronger for the season.
Depending on the draft, I think that the Raptors can like have an easy bounce back next year. They know that they can actually be in the playoffs again because teams like the Hawks, the Knicks, and like, you know, the Wizards, they are probably better than them if they had a healthy season and then they had a season in their own home with like, you know, obviously a high draft pick. They can be like a playoff team again. It's going to be like a quick turnaround. The next priority we're going to be talking about is signing a center. But I don't think it's like the most important priority because there's like a lot more important stuff to deal with the Raptors this offseason. But signing a center would be nice because like then we wouldn't have to like worry about like having a hole that big like we did this year. I mean, going forward, we would have like a center and that we can rely on.
Well, it says something that our best center this season was a player we literally signed off the buyout market that some people did not believe in, playing barely any minutes with the Orlando Magic and putting up 5 points per game. Khem Birch was our best center this season. Signing bargain bin players such as Aaron Baines or Alex Len is just not going to be good enough. I think we just need a quality center, such as I've talked about this in the past, such as Richaun Holmes. Someone of that ilk that doesn't need to be like a superstar, obviously, like the Joel Embiid or Nikola Jokic's of the world. I'm just saying we need someone that is serviceable. As we saw when Khem Birch was serviceable for the team, I would still prefer him as a backup. But when he was serviceable, the Raptors started playing a lot better, as the Raptors have always been a poor rebounding team. So they just need someone to help solve that rebounding problem. And I think someone such as Richaun Holmes, who is a double-double machine, good defensively. Another option could be someone such as a Miles Turner. Those are some options I want the Raptors to look at this offseason.
A lot of Raptors fans think that like signing a center, meaning like Dan said, would be signing a superstar or a star in general. That's not what the Raptors really need. This is why I don't think it's a big priority. Even it's like a small one that could be dealt with pretty easily. Like I think like serviceable centers would be examples of like Steven Adams or Lopez on the Bucks. That's like centers that are not like superstars or even stars at all, but they're like good enough to win for their team.
Okay, so for the next priority for the Raptors have to deal with is the Kyle Lowry situation. What is going to happen to Kyle Lowry? Obviously, he was not traded at the offseason. As I've said in the past, we should have traded him, but we might have a part 2 of trying to trade Kyle Lowry, and that might be in a signing trade. As we know, there's not too much players on the trade market that might grow as the offseason develops. But I think Kyle Lowry is going to be one of the bigger names this offseason. And I think that Kyle Lowry, he'll generate a decent amount of interest. And I think Philly will circle back to him. I think that the Raptors will be able to get the package that they want. And I think the Raptors, they definitely need to move on from Kyle Lowry, and they need to start their youth movement, such as Van Vliet, Anunoby, Trent Jr., this new pick coming in. They need to fully commit to that and surround those players with veterans that are not Kyle Lowry. That Kyle Lowry, he says he wants to go chase championships. The Raptors are not there yet. So I think it's a mutual thing. It's like Kyle Lowry, who's a great Raptor. He's the greatest Raptor of all time, but now it's time for him to go on his own path and win a championship with a team such as the Philadelphia 76ers.
Even though I like Lowry a lot, and I think he did really well against the Boston series and like proved his point of him being a really good player in the playoffs and a good player in general, like it's for the better for him and the team. Like Dan just said, we need to go young, and we're not going to be winning a championship. So I think it would be better for his career to go somewhere where he can win a championship again. Like he's leaving when we're in like a rebuilding kind of state. The 2021 draft, if not like the most important priority in the Raptors offseason, is because like the Raptors have like a top 7 pick in their hand. Drafting the right player in the right position for the team needs probably bounce back the Raptors next season, probably be like a top 4 team in the East again.
I think this is a very important draft. I think the Raptors are obviously in the highest position that they've been in a really long time. Obviously, they're placed right now at 7th, but they have a possibility to move into the top 4. And as we know, the top 4 is a very stacked top 4, as there's Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, and Jalen Suggs. You guys have all heard the names, probably all seen the highlights, and you know how good they can be. But beyond that, there's a lot of sleepers in this draft. And even if the Raptors possibly fall, or if they stay at 7, they're still a really good young player to build around. And obviously you want a top 4 pick, but this pick regardless is going to be really valuable and really important for the Raptors' future. So it's really important that they get this pick right. Lastly, for the number 1 priority, I think you guys all saw it coming from a mile away, is to re-sign Masai Ujiri. As we all know, his contract is coming to an end, and the Raptors have to make a decision to bring him back, or if Masai wants to walk and start a new career. So Masai Ujiri, he's obviously done a lot of great things. I don't even need to list them, but keeping Masai Ujiri, we need that. And he even says, like, the Raptors, we're not coming back to Tampa next year. He seems like he's already involved in next year's plans. I don't know if this is just me being optimistic. I really hope he's back. But the reason why the Raptors stay competitive is because all these shrewd moves. He knows when to take a shot to go for a championship. He knows when to reset. He knows when to pull back. The team starts from the top, and if you have a good owner and a good management system, that's the way you stay competitive. So keeping Masai should be priority number 1.
There's a lot of bad owners in the NBA where it's like, like look at like the Kings, how bad they've been for like 14-15 years. They haven't made the playoffs. It's a blessing that the Raptors have a president in Masai Ujiri, as the Raptors been competitive every year. No matter what you want to say, how the Raptors choked in the playoffs or lost to LeBron so many years, well, we've been there and we've been competitive with every game, and we've won a chip with him. So he's obviously the most important person in the Raptors organization. So why not be like the number 1 priority to sign him?
Yeah, we need to give him the same respect that we've given all of the rest of our players. If Masai leaves, I feel like the culture shift changes a lot. Obviously, Bobby Webster is a big part of our success too, but obviously Masai, he just built the culture for the Raptors, and he means so much for us. And like Evan said about bad owners, like look at Dolan for the Knicks. Like the Knicks were terrible as long as Dolan was there. We need someone who's probably going to run the Raptors so we can ensure that the future is bright.
And people are saying like Kawhi is like the most like upsetting loss we had in Raptors history, but no, I think Masai would be worse, because even if we had Kawhi, who would be the person to put the players around Kawhi to make him good? Like that's Masai who did that stuff, who got like trades with like Gasol and like all these players to put around Kawhi and made that championship team. So like even if we had Kawhi, losing Masai would be worse, because you got to have someone to build that team.
Well, look at the Clippers. The Clippers are trying to like do what the Raptors did, and they're failing, right? They haven't won anything yet with him. With that team, with Kawhi, even having Paul George, they don't have the right supporting cast that Masai was able to put around Kawhi. So I just think the Raptors, they need to bring back Masai Ujiri, as the Raptors won't be competitive without him. So that's going to do it for the video. Please let us know what you guys think. Say another priority in the comment section if we left one out. But until then, please make sure to like the video again, subscribe if you guys are new, and we'll see you guys next time.